על פי מקורות זרים, תוכנית על נשק גרעיני, נשק להשמדה המונית, טילים, צוללות וכל מה שמטרתו השמדה המונית וכל מה שעולה לנו מיליארדים. התוכנית היא גם על הארגונים, האנשים ואפילו ממשלות שעושים כל מה שביכולתם כדי לפתור את העולם מנשק זה. בוקר טוב, כאן שרון דולב, איתי באולפן אסר אבו עדואן הטכנאי ושני אורחים מאוד מיוחדים שבשבילם אני אעבור לאנגלית. Good morning to my very, very special guests today. Atsuki? Atsuko, sorry, Atsuko. And Michi Ohara that came from Japan just last night to tell the stories of Hiroshima and the fire raids in Tokyo. It's an honor to have you here.
Me too.
We feel very lucky to have this opportunity to speak with you and to meet with you. And before I forget, tomorrow we have an event where people can actually meet you, and that will happen in Ambassador Hotel at 6 p.m. And I know it will be fascinating and interesting. Before we start, I would like to play a song for you. There are only 3 songs that I could find in Hebrew about Hiroshima. And we will hear the first, and then we'll start with the interview. We all know the picture of the mushroom cloud, and I think some people are even obsessed. People put it on posters, people watch it on YouTube about all the experiments. But what we don't really know is what happened after or underneath the mushroom cloud. And we're very happy to have you here. And maybe we'll start about your story. How old were you when the bomb hit Hiroshima?
I was 90 years old, living 2 kilometers away from the bombing center.
2 kilometers, it's quite close.
Yes, that's right.
And you're still with us?
Yeah.
What happened? What do you remember from that day?
Oh, even worse. It's unbelievable what happens. I think the 2 serious tragedy done by human being during the 20th century is, 1 is Holocaust, 2 is atomic bomb.
I think in 2 years ago we had a meeting between Hiroshima survivors and Holocaust survivors, and one thing that they both find in context is the no help. That after the bombing of Hiroshima, people thought it's maybe just my house, but when they got out of the houses and realized that the whole city is burning and that there's no help and you didn't know how long it's going to be. And I think people would be very interested in what happened to you after the bomb itself.
Well, after the bomb itself, we don't know what happens because blackout.
Yeah, and it was dark.
Well, the information is just exchanged unfolds. So that, as I said before, for 70 years, up until now, means exactly this year, 70 years.
Yes.
There is no living creatures has lived in Hiroshima. That's just rumors. But anyway, human beings is wise enough to restart the living life.
The environment.
And so is true with Tokyo raids. Maybe let's go with, yeah.
Yeah, we will talk about Tokyo raids in a few minutes. But I'm very interested in the coming days after the bomb, the day after the bomb. Did you start to understand that, how big the bomb was, or?
We didn't know. We just escaped from the scene to look after the relatives, parents.
Yes.
It is really how shall I say? It's a tragic scenery and behavior.
Yeah.
If we know it, we did it the right action, but we didn't know that is only free bomb or just only bomb or fire bomb. We don't know nothing about it. So
and you
just
didn't know anything about the radiation that came with the bomb?
For 7 years.
For 7 years?
So 7 years, the back of the Allied armies.
Yes.
So that it's too long, but I make it short. People who suffered A-bomb has suddenly fallen hairs, bleeding from the face, and finally died as an acute effect of radiation. But they don't know the result.
Yes.
At that time, even the X-ray is not so conscious about it. So some discrimination, not some, most discrimination is spread between the Hiroshima and in Japan itself.
You mean for example, the Hibakusha, the survivors, they were not allowed in the same bath with other Japanese or to get married with other Japanese?
That's right. Even for instance, the marriage or the baby birth or the employment, it's all rather discriminated, so that we hide our experience.
So I think it's fair to say that the bomb didn't just kill so many, but also the survivors had to pay for being survivors of this bomb, actually up till today.
Yes, surely. That's why we are talking about this unthinkable, indiscriminate, and continued effect of the nuclear weapons.
Yes.
Even now, there are lots of survivors who are just struggling around the after effects, and probably it's transferred to the next generation.
Yes.
Children or grandchildren.
So still now,
yes,
some babies are being born with the effects of the A-bomb.
Well, actually, science right now does not clear definitely, but the survivors feels that way too.
Yes.
And actually, the ratio of this disability is higher than the normal.
Yes. So there's still kids that now being born and are paying for the A-bomb.
Mm-hmm. But it is not so many.
Not so many.
Yeah,
but
really
still.
not so many. So sometimes it's so exaggerated.
Yes.
I don't want to say exaggerate.
Yes, you want to be exact. I understand. One of the things that we saw were many pictures from the days after. The rivers full of bodies, the escape, trying to find a better place. We heard lots of stories about people trying to help the burns with no medical help. When did the medical help started to arrive to Hiroshima after the bomb?
Actually, most of the doctors and the nurses were suffered from A-bomb, and also the hospitals are broken. No medical measures are available. Until I would say it's about maybe after the World War II is over, some of the American forces came to take the survivors' situation. But that is for the sake of the information gathered of the nuclear damage.
So,
they do not know how to remedy for the survivors.
Yes.
Actually, just cutting or burning, they can probably take a year or so, or half year, the patient scattered around.
So you're talking about half a year or a year that patients were still damaged and waiting for help, and
yes, to some extent.
To some extent. And one of the stories that I heard, that lots of the American doctors, actually came to gather information, to learn about radiation from you for years after the bombing. So even they didn't know what the bomb actually does.
That's right. It's actually they are gathering actual phenomena or the figures, what kind of diseases are, so on and so forth. They use for the further study of the nuclear weapons.
They used you?
Yeah, probably so.
Yes. The United States is the only state up till now that used bombs on cities, 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 3 days. And the United States is still a nuclear-armed state, also give Japan the umbrella of the nuclear arsenal. If you could talk to Obama now, Obama that said that one day the world will be free of nuclear weapons, but still keep them, what would you like to tell him?
Well, when I had speech when Obama inaugurated, that's all the picture really please climbing up to the heavens. But actually, what Obama said, we do commit to abolish nuclear weapons, but he doesn't expect to see no weapons in actual stage. I mean, for when he lives during the period after the. That means, for instance, nuclear power station here in not here, there in Fukushima.
Yes,
they decided to demolish the power station. It will take 30, 40 years, or rather 50 years in total finishing the closure. That is the same with nuclear weapons.
Yes.
So, in response to your question, we are very pleased. But Obama is rather probably the only, or not only, the fewer person who aims to abolish nuclear weapons. But actual policymaker or politicians has some kind of a big resistance, so that he cannot by himself appeal to the world that he just throw the words itself, but no implementation. That is really difficult for him action.
When you hear Putin threat again with nuclear weapons, What does it make you feel?
He is stupid.
Stupid?
Yes. But once it happens, then the exchange of alert nuclear weapons will maybe exchange all over the globe.
Yes.
Then I cannot imagine how disaster it is. Of course, Putin makes some pre-arrangement or pre-notice to the Americans or the European allies. But some people will make angry to do this, then make a retaliation. So actually, retaliation, chain of retaliation does not mean anything about that.
Does it scares you when Putin speaks like this?
Well, the Hibakusha's association made a strong object, and also the Japanese government too.
It's important. I'm sure that people, are very curious about how does it looks, the nuclear bomb from the ground. Do you remember what you saw in the moments of the bomb?
You mean the actual bomb?
The actual bomb.
No, of course we don't see it. We do not have any alarm signals, silence, so on and so on. All of a sudden, pick up. That means light. Light,
yes.
So they don't know what happens.
So you just saw the light?
Yeah.
And what happened after the light?
Then the light, the winds, blast winds.
The blast.
Blast comes after heat.
Did your house survive the blast?
No. It's in 2 kilometers is at that time Japanese houses, just like in Tokyo, made of mostly wood or paper.
Yes.
So it's entirely broken up.
And
within 2 kilometers, there is no.
There was nothing. We have here also Atsuko.
Yes.
And Atsuko is a survivor of the Tokyo fire raids. And your English is less fluent, and maybe Michi can also help us. Because we heard a lot about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but almost not at all about what happened in Tokyo 70 years ago.
Yes. So that I think so Tokyo raid is the biggest one in the world on the earth, because just 2.5 hours, 100,000 people were killed.
100,000 people were killed in 2.5 hours.
Hours, just 2.5. I think it's the biggest one, but our government didn't want to rebuild so not only that, the foreign countries to our nations. That's why. Then even many Japanese doesn't know about Tokyo.
So even in Japan
now, even now.
May I add one point?
Of course.
It's much more indiscriminate
Tokyo
behavior rather than Guernica, Dresden. That's how much worse areas, not pinpoint. Pinpoint, that would be conceivable, but discriminate.
An indiscriminate weapon, you mean?
Yeah,
because
discriminate way of bombing.
You call it the fire raid. What kind of bombs were they?
Yeah, dire bombs. Anyway, 330,000, in the
300,000
bombs in Tokyo.
Fire bomb is the can full of the fuel to catch the fires on the, not the really bomb.
The bombs were with oil in them.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
In order to spread.
That's right. Yes, and in downtown, I was in a house. It was a very common town Then our houses are built the wood. Then the United States tried to hot burn fast.
Yes.
Then they
so they wanted it to burn fast.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Well, just 7 years old.
You were 7 years old, and you remember?
Yes, very much.
What do you remember?
Because we had the hard time there. So every day we had to train to escape from the fire and the bombs.
Yes.
Yes, at school. Then so I'm first grade of elementary school. Then so at school we had training.
So you trained in school every day how to run away?
Yes.
And when the bombing started, where were you?
Bombing, first of all, 1942, so just the B-25, 25 fighter. So we got once. But after 1944, September,
yes,
started to carry out. So very big air raid in Tokyo. Then first of all, we got just the big factories. But March 10th, 1945, we got just the houses, not factories.
That means not a pinpoint target.
Yes, but they were just spreading.
Yeah.
Yes, which makes it an indiscriminatory.
340、なんだかそうですね。
333万発。
それじゃなくて飛行機は何機か。
飛行機は300 aircraft.
300 aircraft came to
from Saipan, Tenian, Guam Island, very close to Tokyo. So that time, that occupied by the U.S. Army. Then, very nice place for just the United States.
Yes. You remember, was it in the morning, the Tokyo raid?
Yes,
the fire
very
raid?
Very much. Because I also surrounded big fire.
Yeah.
Then I looked at unfired place. Then shed. And so stay there, just crawling on the road. And then anyway, it's a very miracle. I'm so still survivor. Yeah.
So you were survived by a miracle.
Yeah.
And also because you were trained and you went on the ground.
Yes.
And you saw all the fire.
Yes, school I had to train, how to support our life by ourselves.
Yes.
Starting midnight until 2:30, that's kind of a phenomenon also.
So it was from midnight to 2:30 in 2.5 hours.
Yes,
100,000 people were killed, mostly in their beds, I guess.
No, they're running away.
They were running away because there were sirens.
Jumping into the river, but in 1945 was so 30 years. So in the 40 years, then the first time, some people dropping this water. There's, to cause for. Then the next, many people drop down into the river.
So many people jumped into the river.
Yes, jumped into the river.
Burning needs water or cooling.
Nobody, thrown up.
Yes.
No more. Then many.
So actually, the river is covered lots of corpses, full of corpses.
So lots of bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the river. It sounds horrible.
terrible thing. So, that,
so this time, marriage, I better to keep away from your conversation. But this time, I was surprised that Israeli people, civil people, picked up Tokyo race as a conference at Haifa University, yes. And also you plan tomorrow night, yes, to hear.
But I have to be honest, before you told me about it, I didn't know about it. I always knew about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but not about the Tokyo raid.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm very grateful for you to come, but also grateful for you for insisting that it's important to hear this story. It is very important. You know, I'm sitting here looking at the two of you, and I think you saw in your eyes something that nobody should see. Nobody should experience what you have been through.
Yeah.
Let's take 2 minutes break with another song, and then we'll continue. That was Daniela Spector, and the song was Bright White over Hiroshima. Or Lavan al Hiroshima. The two of you, as we finished before, saw something that nobody should experience. And instead of going around living your life just thinking about what happened to you and how you should protect yourself, you have a mission in life, and your mission is to not let this happen to anyone. And I think this is a very strong message. And I think that all of us should thank you for your efforts. And I would like to hear a bit about your traveling, about your tries. Are you optimistic?
Well, I'm a little bit, to tell the truth, I'm a little bit tired for speaking out, but in May. That's too sorry for me. Our efforts
Yes.
even to this civil society is not, I would say it's a faded away, such memory.
Yes.
So that is, well, important thing is to hand it to the next generation, to speak for us on behalf of the dead. That's probably my mission, to speak in Israel.
What would you like to say to Israelis?
Well, peace is most important for the child or old. Or you love your children or grandchildren. For the grandchildren or children or further next generation, we have to keep this earth green as it was. But the recent situation is more complex.
You know, sometimes I say the situation in the Middle East is very complex. That's true.
Right.
But that's exactly why we need to take nuclear weapons out.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because nobody should ever use them. What do you have to say to Israelis?
Yeah, I'm one of the oral history reciters at the center of the Tokyo Air Raid in Tokyo. Then we needed to writing to the next generation.
Yes.
Then now, so, year by year, so reciters decreasing, so they are very getting old. Then if nobody knows about the Tokyo Raid, that's finished. Then we, our co-workers now, hard to speak to new generations. Also, especially young people, junior high and high school students come to the center to learn about, Second World War and so Tokyo Air Raid. Then nice chance to tell, to speak to the next generation. That's our mission. Yeah.
Yes. The next generation must learn from your experience.
Right.
In what places have you already spoken? In what countries and
countries?
Yes.
イギリスとかね、イギリスとかアメリカとか、ユナイテッドキングダムor USA or probably the air raid is limited.
Yes.
So that the invitation for the Tokyo Raid Center is not so popular as A-bombs. So she has been 3 or 4 countries. But I'm rather, in 20 years, taking on board.
On the peace boat.
Peace boat.
Yeah.
And made a...
Same time, so on the peace boat.
Yes.
But just, very small island, Rarotonga.
Yes.
Yeah, I have been there so to speak about our service. And I have been to many countries, but not always bring our
the story.
event. No, just very few countries.
And in Japan, people are interested in Japan? in the story of the Tokyo raid?
But I told you, so even though so many Japanese don't know
Yes.
about I think, after Tokyo Great Raids, we got nuclear bomb, right? If just after Tokyo raids, Japanese government and the empress, surrender.
Yes.
Then we didn't have any so big trouble, so even to Japan. Then government didn't want to, tell us big raid
Yes.
to the nations, even a nation. That's big trouble, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is still hope. There is a high school graduation trip. Usually they have. Some of the high school visited the center to know put in the schedule.
Yes.
So there is still hope left for us.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the interesting places that you've been to tell the story of the Hibakusha?
Hibakusha is probably the Tokyo area. They can provide you, or Hiroshima or Nagasaki has as I said before, different from the center. The Peace Memorial Museum provides a reciter on A-bomb in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and if you have a chance to visit there, make it available to have a chance. And so it's true with Air Raid Center in Tokyo, located in Tokyo. You can have a chance to hear the reciter.
And you've been traveling around the world too with Peace Boat, the Peace Boat project?
I'm graduated from school. Peace Boat. I'm just trying to. My life is living quite shorter. So I went to every year. I went to New York, especially 5 years period. NPT
at the NPT. Yes,
and also New Zealand. And so on and so forth.
New Zealand is a nuclear-free area.
Yeah, it's quite different from Australia.
Yes.
No power generation and nuclear power. And
I remember. So sorry. So I didn't have a chance to speak to English people and American, but I went to England to United States.
Yes.
So with our members, then just any chance, many members went there with us. That's why.
Yeah, may I finalize because time is coming to an end, and
this is not working.
Well, anyway, I would like to appreciate your invitation to take care of us, to give us a chance to talk to the people.
I'm the
Israel.
grateful one.
I appreciate you, Daf.
Thank you very much. I'm the appreciate one, and you know that you helped us a lot to make it happen. And before we end and hear the last Hiroshima song and say goodbye and thank you, I wanted to ask you if there's something last that you would like to say to the young generation of Israel, to the kids of Israel.
Yes, please hear or study the facts and hear the experience like her or like me. And if they feel what is necessary, what is for peace, what they want to think about, I would like to say to them, think about your friends sitting next to you. Next day, suddenly disappeared. How do you feel? In to avoid such kind of thing, experience, it is necessary, indispensable to keep peace forever.
In the last few months, we hear more and more right-wing Israelis calling on the Prime Minister to use nuclear weapons against Iran. What do you think about such a call?
That's a threatening. I hope that's one threatening that for the Iranian government make a compromise to extend the agreement of the accumulation of the uranium or the compressor and so on and so forth. It's a kind of I hope that's kind of a threatening. What actually he understands, what is the A-bomb stands for. I'm sure that he does not want to do so in reality.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. And maybe we should finish with saying again, no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki.
No more Hibakusha, no more Higaisha.
Yes. And let's hope for a better future and a safer world without nuclear weapons. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
どういたしまして。
Thank you so much for coming here. I think you're doing a holy job. And this is also time to say thank you to Nasser Abu Adwan, the technician, and to Allforpeace Radio. And we'll hear now the last song of Rami Fortis, Hiroshima Mon Amour. Thank you very much.
Sierra, Yankee, November 2. Sierra, Yankee, November 2. Sierra, Yankee, November 2.